Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Jeremy Miller, and I'm the Associate Director of Financial Coaching here at Ramsey. And, we had almost 1,000 people register for this morning, and I am really excited to be with you guys today. I'm grateful that you're here. I know it's middle of the week, Thursday morning. There's a lot you could be doing with your time, and I'm honored that you've chosen to spend it with me this morning. And I want to make sure you get a ton out of today. We got people from all over the country joining us, and it's gonna be great. We're gonna have some fun, and so I'm glad that you're here too, Megan. All right, so to level set, what we're here to do today is to talk about financial coaching. You guys are here to figure out, to learn about financial coaching and figure out what does it take to be a coach? What sorts of problems do we solve? Trying to figure out, is that something I want to do? And we know that's why you're here, to figure out if you want to be a coach and to learn about what that process looks like. And we're going to get into all those things today. We're going to get into all of that. And so there's really two parts to the conversation that I want to have with you guys. Okay. The first part is going to be, I'm going to get you guys the information, answering some of the questions that we just identified. And I'm going to go through some of these slides. It's going to be pretty short and sweet. Really, the goal is to get you pertinent information. It's to get you with this pertinent information. So the first part is more of like a short presentation. The second part of this call is much more interactive. It's much more interactive, and the second part is really a conversation. There's questions that are better answered through a dialogue than a monologue. And so I'll be honest, that's my favorite part. I like talking to you guys rather than speaking with you rather than speaking at you. And so we're going to get to that part super quick, and make sure you stick around for that. The feedback that we get is that is the best part, but we got to get through some of this information first. And so I'm going to give it to you, and we're going to get after it. So let's do this. There's a bunch of teams here at Ramsey. The coaching team, this is our mission. This is what we do. We train, develop, and support world-class coaches. Now, the cool thing is we've been doing this for a long time, the better part of 30 years. In fact, Dave Ramsey, he went through bankruptcy, and then he started coaching people. That's right. Ramsey Solutions started as a coaching practice where he'd meet with people one-to-one and coach them on their money. That was before he was on the radio, writing books, doing any of the things that we're doing today. He started as a coach. And we've been training people to pick up that torch and take it into their community to further that mission, because there's so many people that need help. We can't even begin to help everybody. And so we've been training people for, almost 30 years on how to do what Dave was able to do. And we've been able to train thousands of people all over the country and some all over the world to help people in their community. And so that's what we're here to do. And what you're here for is figure out, do you want to join that mission? And so we're going to talk about what that looks like. I want to start here. This is the most important thing. If you're going to be a coach, the most important question you've got to answer is, why do you want to do it? Before you do anything, you got to go there. So let's do this. Hit me in the chat box. Why do you want to be a coach? What's happened in your life? What are you seeing around you that's causing you to say, you know what? I think I might want to do something about that. Because oftentimes we can see a problem and go, man, somebody should do something about that. But you're here to ask the question, should I do something about it? That's different, right? That's a different level of engagement. So in the chat, let me know, why do you want to be a coach? Dan says, help others who need financial stability. Dan, I'm going to follow up. Why does that problem matter to you? Why do you care about doing that? Because that's what we're talking about, helping others who need that stability. But why? What's causing you to want to do that? Jody says, I want to be a solution to people's problems and a source of information to transform them. I'll ask you that too, Jody. Why does that matter to you? Jeff says, debt steals dreams. I want to help people find their own and better dreams. That's great, Jeff. Why does that matter to you? You see a theme here, right? Scott says, I have a need to help young adults save for their life goals instead of being a slave to their debt. Paula says, I get asked for advice frequently because I've been a financial peace coordinator. Mordina says, money affects everything. I hate to see poverty. There we go. Kenia says, because I didn't have the information earlier. Yeah, you see me drilling down into the why. That's an important question because there's a million problems you could solve in this country, in this world. There's a million different ways you could serve people. But what's happened in your life? What's causing you to look at this problem and go, you know what? I'm going to do something about that. And your why matters. It's foundational. It's so important because it tells you what to do next. And in addition to that, it's going to help you as you work through the process of becoming a coach and you start to be challenged because it is a challenging process, but it keeps you grounded. Now we talked about the problem. What's the extent of the problem? Well, the reality is that almost 80% of people live paycheck to paycheck. I want you to think about that. In fact, if you're in public right now, look around you. I'm sitting here, I'm looking the parking lot, the Ramsey is right down there. And I see 65 going right there. Cars driving by, 8 out of 10 of them. This is what they're experiencing. I want you to look around you. If you see people around you, 8 out of 10 of those people are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, if you had to describe what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, how would you describe that? What's it like? Let me know in the chat. What is it like to live paycheck to paycheck? If you've lived it before, I'd love for you to share. Emily says, high burden, defeating, stressful, scary. Deborah says it's like walking a tightrope without a net. Sandy just says, hate, hate, hate. Alicia says, never having enough. Catherine says it felt suffocating. Terrence says it felt very depressing. Tammy said debilitating. Scott said it took me 8 months to buy 4 tires for my car. Melissa said panic attacks. Merdina says 1 step from homelessness. So you guys get it. And again, I want you to look around you. Look at the people around you. If you're around other people, that's what they're living right now. And then what happens is we get hit with life. Things happen, stuff comes up, and it becomes an emergency. And in fact, over a third of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency. What do you think about that? Like, you've been there, I've been there. That's something for the house, it's something for the car, it's a medical bill, it's something with your pet. And then that anxiousness, the fear, the debilitating feeling, the lack of freedom, as Emmanuel said, it just is heightened. It ratchets up when stuff like this happens. Kendall says, why can't I see anything in the chat? I forgot to tell you. That's why I didn't tell you. The chat is, let's call it closed. So I can see everything you guys are saying. With 1,000 people, trust me, you don't want to try and keep up. It's just distracting if we open it. So you can see what I put in there if I put anything, and then I'll feed what everybody else is saying to the group. So thanks for asking, Kendall. All right. So we see the problem. We see the problem. As coaches, those are not the problem we solve, because actually, those aren't the real problems. These are symptoms. The root problem is what you see here. And as coaches, we don't deal with symptoms. We want to get to the root of the problem. And so when you're coaching somebody, when you're talking to somebody who's struggling, they're stressed out about money, they're fearful, they're anxious, they can't sleep, they're fighting with their spouse. They're saying things like, I guess this is just how life is. Man, I'm never going to get out of this situation. I better get used to it. If only my situation were different. Our tendency is to solve the symptom. But coaches, we get to the root. The real problem, the real reason why people are in those situations, there's three. There's three types of problems that people have when it comes to money that we help them solve. The first is a process problem. So the way that they handle their money, the way that they budget or don't budget, their approach to paying off debt or not. This is like the practical, tactical implementation, okay? So a process could be a husband and wife not combining their finances, and he pays these things and she pays these things. That's a process. What you'll see though is that connects to the people, right? So we have process related, we have perspective related. What is a perspective? So perspective, mindset, beliefs. What is a perspective that you've seen somebody hold? Somebody, maybe they've even verbalized it. What's a perspective or belief about money, or maybe themselves, that you've seen hold somebody back from thriving with their money? Put it in the chat. What's a perspective that you've seen hold somebody back when it comes to their money? Megan, I'll tithe when I make more money. I'm always going to be in debt. Arkisha says, retirement savings is for the rich. I can't do that. Oh, man. Debt is a necessity. Charlene, I deserve it now. Susan, money is evil. Katina, it's not my fault. Kevin says, car loan is a good debt. Jen says, my boyfriend has millions and is terrified to spend any of it, afraid it will run out. My parents will bail me out. That one works until it doesn't, right? I can always make more later. I won't live forever and I can't take it with me. Yeah. So these are perspectives that hold us back. And what you'll find, you see the process, the perspective, and then the people. You know, a people one I've seen is, you know, around the holidays. Well, of course, yeah, I can't afford to travel home for Christmas, but I have to because my family expects it. I can't afford to give gifts to all the family members, but that's how my family operates. So I have to. What you'll find is when you're coaching somebody, usually we're going to touch on all three. Usually we're going to touch on all three because these things are, if these three things were a Venn diagram, they'd basically be a circle, right? They're so intertwined. Let's do an experiment right now. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Now, we're not going to go to the chat for this. This one's actually going to be a poll. And the poll is this: when you teach someone how to budget, what percentage of the time does it stick? Go ahead and select your answer there. When you teach someone how to budget, what percentage of the time does it stick? All right, this is good. This is real good. So with this poll, I'll wait till you guys have answered, and then what I'll do is I'll flip it around and you'll be able to see the results that everybody's getting when it comes to this. This directly relates to what we're talking about, because if we're teaching somebody how to budget, what we're saying is the problem is if they don't know how to budget. This is a process problem. If we teach them how to budget, it'll fix the problem. So here we go. This is what you guys experience when you teach somebody how to budget. So almost half of you guys say less than 10% of the time it sticks. And we're looking at 3/4 of you less than 25%. So it looks like about 15, maybe 20% of the time it's sticking. Some of you guys have never taught somebody how to budget before. That's great. So if we teach people how to budget and it's not working, What does that tell us about the real problem? Is it a process thing or is it something else? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. If we teach somebody how to process something and teach them the process of how to do something and they don't do it, it's something else. Patricia said they aren't ready to change. Patricia, that may be. Or it means we haven't solved the right problem yet. It means we haven't solved, that's usually what it is we haven't solved the right problem. Now, are there people that don't want to change? Absolutely. But I found that most of the time when they're talking about it, it's because there's something stirring in them that's causing them to want to fix it. Doesn't mean change is easy. But that's a really good example there of, when you're coaching somebody, you're going to deal with multiple layers of problems. So what I want to do now is to walk you through, Charlene, that's what I meant. It's a different issue. Absolutely. And then sometimes they don't want to change. And you know what? It's okay, because that's their choice. All right. What I want to do now is I want to show you guys the process that we take you through to become a financial coach. Now, coaches use our training in a variety of ways. Okay. There's really 4 that I've been able to identify. The majority of people that take our training want to coach people. They want to make an impact on people, and they want to earn an income while they do that. Now, some people want to do that on a very limited basis, part-time, make a little extra cash, help some folks. And then others end up going into more of a full-time thing where this becomes their career. That's a little bit more of a long-term decision that our coaches make, but so most everybody's starting on a real limited part-time basis. Not always, but that's, again, the majority. Some people want to do this more for like on a volunteer basis. That could look like serving in a church, helping as a resource. It could be working with a local nonprofit, doing it independently, that sort of thing. Some people take our training and they don't formally even want to coach. They just want to be a better resource for the people in their life. They're not going to formally coach. It's just they want to be more of that trusted person and give them the skills to equip them to lean into that a little bit more in an unofficial capacity. And then the fourth is some people just get real geeked out about learning and they don't really want to do anything with it. It's invigorating to them to learn something new. And we have a small, group of people that do that as well. And so however you're thinking about using this, let me tell you what it looks like for us to take you through this process that we've been doing for a long time. So lucky for you guys, this isn't me going to a whiteboard going, let's try something. Let's see if it works. These people be my guinea pigs. No, that'll be terrible. We've been doing this a long time. Okay. So the 3-step process first is there's a lot you got to learn. Okay. We want to teach you the skill set of coaching. There's a lot to teach you. And so we do that. I'll show you how we do that in a second. But it's not enough to just learn how. As we just identified, you can teach somebody how to budget. That doesn't mean they're going to do anything with it. And so the application of what you've learned is just as important as learning the thing. And so when you start to apply what you've learned, we walk with you very closely so that we can ensure that you're implementing and you're learning through that process. And so we walk with you through that very closely. If you've ever taught a child how to ride a bike, you'll hold the handlebars and you kind of walk with them, and it's that sort of thing where we're right there. Okay. Because who would want to do something like this alone, right? That would be silly. No, we're there with you. And then the third thing is grow. So once you've gotten your feet under you and you're a little bit wobbly at first and you get going and you're like, okay, cool, I'm doing this. We look at you and say, all right, what's the goal here? Like, where are we going? Right? Is this going to be on a limited part-time basis? That's great. Or do you want to take it somewhere a little bit more substantial? Up to you. One thing that's really cool about coaching is we never set goals for our clients. We draw out what they want, but maybe they don't think is possible for them. And then we help them go get that. And so we do that for you guys. So I can't tell you how many times I've talked to coaches who said, man, I want to go full time. I just don't know if I could. One of my favorite coaches, her name's Tracy, coached for 6 years. She's a teacher, coached for 6 years. And she said, Jeremy, I don't know if I can do it. I looked at her and I said, Tracy, when are you going to start to look at yourself the way everybody else does? Because everybody else goes like, oh yeah, she would kill it. She's a full-time coach now. And so we get to do that with you as well, but help you to hit the goals that you really want, even if they scare you a little bit. That's the fun part about coaching. So let me walk you through the components of this process. Real straightforward. All right, number one, you're going to go through our digital course. We have a ton of content for you to teach you the things that you need to learn to be effective as a coach. So this is a self-paced program with some built-in structure to it to help you stay consistent. So there's 15 self-paced video lessons that teach you how to coach, that teach you basically the coaching skill set, everything that goes into that. We also teach you financial principles and how to coach on and through those financial principles. And then we also teach you, we'll call it the business stuff. If you're going to want to coach and you're going to charge for it, we coach on the business stuff as well to teach you all of those things. So like, how much do I charge? And how do I take payment and all of those kind of practical things. In addition to the 15 lessons, there's quizzes, tests, and application along the way to make sure that you're learning and retaining what you're supposed to be learning. Okay. Now, the most common question I get here is, how long does this part take? And what I'll say is you could do this in bite-sized chunks, or you can binge it in probably a long weekend. Okay. So it depends on how you'd like to approach it. The average video is 11 minutes long, okay? And you can jump from a tablet to a phone to a computer. It's super user-friendly in that way, mobile-friendly as well. If you're gonna do bite-sized chunks, 3 hours a week gets you through this part of it in about 40 days, 45 days, right in there. I think it's like 42. So that's what that looks like right there. Now, it's not enough to just learn. We're going to coach you. We're going to walk with you. We're going to, let me say it this way. A coach who doesn't have their own coach is like a doctor who won't go see a doctor. It just doesn't make sense. And so in addition to learning what you need to learn, here's me getting ahead of myself, okay? When you complete, let me do it this way. When you complete this part of the course, let me transition here, you get your certificate from Ramsey Solutions. You get your designation as a Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach, okay? And this isn't a designation that you have to renew every year or every couple of years. Once you have this designation, you have your designation. All right, I'm back on track. Now, in addition to the videos and all that stuff online, you get a bunch of different types of coaching calls to help you along the way based on where you're at. The thing is, we've trained so many people that we know what help you're going to need before you actually need it. We know when you're going to need it before you actually need it. And so we've crafted the coaching to really meet you where you're at in terms of going through the program. So the very first calls you get, there are 5 foundational coaching calls, okay, to help you as you're going through the material, as you're learning all these things, to really help you shape your mindset around the things you're learning and help you get clarity on the things that you're learning and really lock in that foundation. When it's time to start applying all this stuff, you get 4 coaching calls on launching your coaching practice. And again, those are with other people that are also launching at the same time, and you get to work with our coaches here internally. I think our team's got like 100 years of coaching experience between them. I think there's like 8 of us. So you get to work with our coaches as you're launching. And then that way you're not only learning from your questions, but you're learning from other people's questions because they're doing the same thing that you're doing. Once you've launched a coaching practice and you're established, you get unlimited calls that are focused on your development and your growth as a coach. And so you can choose to engage with those as often as you like. You can do those once a day, once a week, once a month, totally up to you. Okay. So you get the content, you get the coaching. Now, we've never seen a coach operate out of succeed when they're operating out of a place of isolation, loneliness, and fear. So in addition to getting access to our team here internally, from the very first day you start our training, you actually get access to the entire community of Ramsey coaches that we've trained. So you can connect with other new coaches, you can connect with the veterans, you can also connect with our team in this community. But what I want you to see here is that no matter where you're at, no matter what the situation, when you have a question, if you get stuck on something, you've got multiple places to go to find the answer. And the goal there for us is no matter what it is, you always have a place to go to find the answer. And that's what this is for. It's to build that protection around you so that you have what you need at all times. It's accessible at your fingertips. So you get the content, you get the coaching, you get the community. And lastly here, you get a set of tools to help you run the coaching practice. First thing you get right there is a lead manager and a client manager. And so what that's for is anytime you're speaking with somebody or you're coaching somebody, you have a platform to be able to track your conversations with them, to take notes, to set reminders, to follow up and call Susie on Tuesday and make sure Bill's payment goes through on Friday, whatever it is. Really helping you stay organized. You also get a website for scheduling. And so when you're talking to somebody and they'd like to get some time with you, you simply give them your link. And that's a little, it's a little snapshot of what it looks like right there. So you put your picture in there, you set some of that text up, and then they're able to go and book time with you. So we do that with the calendar included. And then that last one right there you see is the goal calculator. I love this one because it equips you as a coach to not just have a goal and go, oh, well, I don't know how I'm going to get there. No, it allows you to say, here's my goal, and let's plan out, okay, what is it exactly going to take? And what it does is it's meant to demystify any goal that you may have. Okay. So that's what it's like to go through our training. All right. Very straightforward. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to stop the sharing because now it's time to have a conversation. Presentation over. Thank you. I'm excited to talk to you guys. To transition into that, what I'd like to do is pose a few questions that we hear to just kickstart the conversation. Let's say it that way. All right. So the very first question that we get is, Jeremy, if I'm going to make the investment, how do I get a return on my investment? Okay, that's the one of the first questions we get. How do I make a return on my investment? And so I want to walk you through what that looks like. Okay, so if you're a math person, get ready because I'm going to ask you a few questions in the chat. All right. So starting off, the cost of the enrollment for our program to get access to everything you just saw for the entire year, for us to have, for you to have us join you on your journey as you're helping people for that entire year, is $34.95. So just under $3,500. Okay. So the average coach that we train charges $200 a session. Okay. So again, the training is $3,500. The average coach that we train charges $200 per session. So for you math people, if we're going to make the investment back of $3,500 and we're charging $200 per session, how many coaching sessions would you need to complete in order to do that? BJ, 18. All right, perfect. $200, so it's 18 sessions. Okay. Yes. 17 and a half. And so we can't do a half a session. So there you go. Matthew's like, I'm sorry, 3,500 question mark, question mark. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what it is. So my question, Matt, sounds like Matt's like, oh man, that's a lot. My question would be, what are you comparing it to? So I'd love to hear your response. The average person that our coaches coach will do 6 sessions. And what that looks like is it's sessions are typically 1 hour. Okay. They're typically 1 hour long. And they're doing 1 session a month. Okay. 1 session a month. And so what that looks like is 6 months of 6 months of coaching is going to be about $1,200 for the average person. And so if the average person does 6 sessions, okay, how many clients do we need to work with in order to return on investment? Tammy's got it. All right, 3 clients. So if you worked with 3 clients over the course of 6 months, that's how you do that. Now I've got a special that I'm going to tell you guys about in a little bit. We're doing a promo this month, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. So, but I want to call out, we just talked about ROI. ROI is a math problem. Very simple, very straightforward. And for some of you guys, you go, okay, that makes sense. For some of you guys, you go, yeah, but that still doesn't solve that question for me because I have other questions like, where am I going to find people? Or how can somebody pay for a $200 session if they're broke? How can they afford it? Some of you guys are even thinking like, man, I would feel kind of guilty charging somebody $200 if they're struggling. So what I'd like you to do is, if you relate to some of those things, go ahead, raise your hand. Well, how would I find people, Jeremy? How can these people afford it if they're broke? I might feel a little bit guilty charging for that. If you relate to those, go ahead and raise your hand. And this is where the conversation starts. I want to talk to you. Okay. Because those questions are better answered through a coaching conversation. And so I want to tee this up. What we're going to do now is I'm going to coach. All right. And so I want you to look at these conversations through that lens. And we're going to go from there. So let's start with Sydney. Okay, Sydney Jones. So when I call your name, go ahead and click the unmute button. And are you there, Sydney?
I'm here.
Thanks for being here. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Gonzales, Louisiana.
Gonzales, Louisiana. That's awesome. Do you make a good gumbo?
I do, actually.
Goodness, I need to get that recipe because I love gumbo. All right.
Come on down here and I'll cook some for you.
That sounds like fun. Which one of those things did you really relate to, Sydney, that I just shared?
All of them. Where do I find the people? And then if people are already having financial difficulties, how do I charge them, or how do they pay? How do I even discuss payment with them?
Sure. Yeah. Well, let's do this. What if we start at the beginning with the first one? Because if you don't have people that you're talking to, how can you even think about charging for a service like coaching? Right?
Yes.
So let's start with how do I find people? Is that cool with you?
Yes.
All right. So let me ask you this. Why do you want to be a coach, Sydney?
Why do I want to be a coach? Because sometimes there's not a very good relationship between money and people. And because I want to help people, the information is not always available, or no, let me restate that. The information is available, but people don't have access to it. They don't know where to get it. And the knowledge that they're missing out keeps them in a state of flux.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you know that?
Because I've talked to a lot of people. Thankfully, my mother was a very good steward and a very good teacher financially. Yeah. So I learned the lesson, but I've talked to many people who did not have the type of upbringing that I did.
Okay. And what sorts of things do you hear from those people?
they're in debt, they're living paycheck to paycheck, they don't know how they're going to pay their bills. They're paying their bills this month, but they don't know how they're going to do it next month. They don't have any savings. They don't have the money to do any extra things. They don't have an emergency fund. They're overwhelmed. They're afraid.
Mhm. You've had a lot of conversations.
I have, because again, because of the upbringing, and because of how I live my life, people have come to me concerning some financial things.
So Sydney, I'm gonna say what I'm hearing back to you. Is that okay?
Yes,
I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. You were blessed with a parent who taught you these things,
yes,
and you've benefited from it, and people around you see that,
yes,
and they want to know, what have you gotten? Where do I get it?
correct.
So what was your question? Like, now I'm confused. Where do I find people? You just told me you're talking to everybody about it.
Wow, wow, that
Wow, what just happened?
that a light bulb moment,
What was the light bulb?
that I already have my targeted audience. People are already asking me questions, so I already have the people that I can talk to and give information to.
Okay. So did we solve that part of it for you?
It solves that part.
Perfect. So then it's like, well, Jeremy, okay, I know the people, they're there. They're right in front of me. I'm already talking to them, but they're broke. So is the question, how are they going to afford it? Or is it, I would feel guilty? Or is it a combination of both?
It is a combination of both.
Which
And
one's louder?
pardon?
Which one's louder in your mind? Is it the how do they afford it, or I feel guilty?
I think they're both equally as loud, because how do they afford it is the first thing. But coupled with that is, I would feel guilty adding on to the stress they're already feeling.
Sure. Would you like some help with those two?
Absolutely.
All right. These people that you see, they're broke. What are the things they're spending money on that keeps them broke?
Some of them are spending money on unnecessary things, in my view, meaning they're splurging on, um, for instance, purses or shoes or cars or clothing, jewelry that's very unnecessary, even trips. Of course, we live in this social media age, and a lot of people are just trying to impress on social media when they're actually struggling in real life. So I see that. But then some of them are just working jobs that unfortunately can't meet the demands of their life. And it's just basic things, not anything extravagant.
Sure. Yeah. So you see two different situations, right?
Yes,
You see some people who are just living beyond their means, and some people who are just struggling to make it.
correct.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Sydney. Do you have to charge $200?
No,
If you saw somebody who was getting by barely, and they're doing everything they can, and they're not living extravagantly, they're not going out to eat, they're not doing all these things, how would you approach somebody like that?
I actually would not charge them at all. A large part of what I would like to do in becoming a financial coach, of course, I would like to do this as a full-time career, but also I want to give back. So a large percentage or a large part of my time would be free counsel. Oh, answer the second question.
What's that? Another light bulb?
Yes,
Okay, what's the light bulb?
the light bulb is to do what I want to do anyway, is to provide my services free of charge, or
Yeah.
even a discount if someone couldn't afford the rates, but they could afford something.
What would be the benefit of charging something, even if you're not charging the full rate?
The benefit would be, I think, to hold them accountable, to make them motivated in some sense, to know that this is not something to take for granted.
Mhm. Tammy said in the chat, she said skin in the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're saying you see a benefit, even if they're struggling, you see the benefit in them doing something,
Yes.
even if it's $20 a session.
Yes.
Okay. So did we solve that second one for you?
We did.
Cool. So let me ask you this. If they benefit by paying for their own coaching because they're investing in themselves and it holds them accountable, what do you have to feel guilty about?
Nothing. Nothing. There's
'Cause
nothing.
guilt is I've done something wrong.
And there's nothing I've done wrong. It was the added in my mind, it was the added expense or the added pressure for someone who's already struggling. But that is gone away because, as Tammy said, it gives them skin in the game. They're invested in it because they are contributing something. So no, there's no guilt associated at all.
Mhm. Wow. So 3 mental blocks, 3 light bulbs, huh?
Light bulb moments, yes.
So can we pause here real quick and just kind of debrief on what happened, Sydney?
Yes.
So for everybody watching, I want you guys to understand what you just experienced right there. That's coaching. Sydney, what advice did I give you?
What advice did you give me?
Mhm.
I think you encouraged me to think and to process this, walk through the steps, the roadblocks that are the obstacles that I put forth. You caused me to think them through, to walk them through,
Mhm.
and then to eliminate those obstacles, to see that they're really not obstacles.
Mhm. How did I do that?
Talking to me, causing me to think through the process, encouraging me, coaching me along the way to talk through the process and not just be limited by what I saw as obstacles.
How did I cause you to think about it?
Oh, you're looking for something specific. We talked through it. It was a process that we went through. You took what I said, restated it to me, and then you gave me scenarios or caused me to talk about exactly why I thought those were issues.
Mhm. Did I ask you a lot of questions like I'm doing
You
right now?
did. Yes, you did. You asked
Yeah.
me a lot of questions.
Sydney, we have a question from the chat that I need you to answer for us, okay? Scott wants to know if you're a plant.
No, I'm actually not. And I'm shocked that you even called my name. And I was wondering if this was a plant. if if I was the only one actually on the call, because why would you choose me?
Huh? You raised your hand. I was like, oh, let's talk to Sydney. I don't know.
No, I'm not a plant. Definitely not.
But Scott's like, of course he would say that, Sydney. If
Of
you're a
course,
plant, of course you would say that. What else are you gonna say? Actually, I am. You caught us.
but I'm really not, because I was wondering myself, why was I the one selected? And yeah, am I the only one on the call? So that's why you chose me.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just, it was kind of funny. I thought it was hilarious. No. So let's step back. I want you to think about your conversations with people when it comes to money. And are you doing what we just did right there? Or are you going right to advice? Here's what I think you should do. Let me put together a plan for you.
No, it's a matter of talking to them to determine what the concern is, um, what their objective is, because I could not sit down and talk to someone or approach them and say, oh, here's what I think you should do, when I don't know what their concern is. So it's talking to people, determining what their goal is, and then we work through it together, doing exactly what you did, asking a lot of questions I didn't think I was coaching though when I did that.
That's what it is. As coaches are, and Dave Ramsey on the radio is not coaching. He's giving advice based on a plan. Now he uses the skill set of a coach because he's been a coach for 30 years, but he's entertaining on the radio. And so when people think of coaching, they think of, well, I can do that. I can answer like Dave. Well, so can everybody else. He's been saying the same thing for 30 years. So everybody can answer how Dave would because nobody's going to say. With coaching, we want to draw people out to help them get out of here so that they can come to these conclusions. They have those light bulbs that you just did. And then we ask them this question, Sydney, you ready?
Yes.
Sydney, what do you believe your next step is?
I think my next step is actually to really get formalized training. And the reason I say that is to become more confident in my skill set, to become more knowledgeable in the skill set, and to develop multiple plans or courses of action.
Okay. All right. When are you going to do that?
Oh my goodness. You're putting me on the spot.
Do you see how as coaching we get specific?
Yes.
This
And
is
that's
about
not good.
this is an ownership moment where you say, okay, what is your next step? It's that. Okay, when are you going to do it? You feel that? That's coaching right there. There's some accountability in it.
Yeah, I feel that. And that's not good for a procrastinator like me.
You're welcome.
Wow. Thank you.
I didn't hear an answer.
That's the procrastinator. Silence. We can move on. Look, I'm lowering my hand.
Sydney, you've been great. You actually don't have all the information because I told you I was going to give you guys a special that we're doing right now. So you didn't know how much you're really talking about spending, right? So I think for you, well, let me say it this way. There's the link to get started so that you can get access to conversations like that for an entire year where we're going to walk with you and help you through this whole thing. If you procrastinate, then we want to help you to not do that, because when you procrastinate, guess what doesn't happen? You don't help people, right?
Right. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was still.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
So when you, we got a promo code here that's good until the end of the month. We've got limited availability, but we still have room in that promo code. The promo code Transform is going to take $2,100 off. So the program is going to be, it's actually $1,395. Okay. That's for a year of us walking with you, getting the training, the support, the community, the coaching, all those fun things. And so I think, Sydney, probably what you're looking at is the next step. If the training, getting trained is the next step, really the next step is figuring out budget wise, how's that $1,395 work? Is that doable right away, or is it something that you're going to have to save for? So I do think that is probably your next step, but you've been a wonderful guest here, Plant. So thanks for being here. Katina says, after that year, is there anything else we need to do to keep the certification? Nope. Once you have that certificate, you're good. So Tammy, you put a good, I don't quite understand the first part of your question. So Tammy Proctor, if you can unmute, and I would love to help you with that, with both of these, but let's start with that first one. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for being here. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Perfect. So you said, is there a targeted platform for folks who have a more specific need? What, can you help me understand what you mean by that?
Okay, so I'm coming at this from the stance of I have a younger child. We're in middle school, but we are in part of a church private school that we go through kindergarten through 12th grade. And we are learning that there are a lot of families who have made zero planning into their financial whatever for their kids who are going off to college. The kids don't understand, and it's not taught well enough. Unfortunately, I've been through all of their curriculum to see what they're taught as far as personal finance. So my son, of course, is getting the Ramsey side because we started him on the Ramsey Kids when he was probably 4. So he
Mhm.
knows what it is to work and save and give and all those things. And so he knows and he understands the skin in the game. But
Mhm.
there are a lot who don't. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from. And I'm seeing a lot of kids who are opting to not go to school because they don't understand how they would pay for it, if they would owe coming out, how they would be burdened by that and how to manage that. So I'm wondering if there's a way to, I guess, take what the program is going to offer to make it more to them and then still have the ability to do for the rest of the church and the school.
Are you talking about coaching an individual? Or are you talking about teaching a group?
Individuals. I think in this particular church and environment, I think a group would not be feasible in there. And they teach financial peace, but I'm amazed every time the class rolls out, there's maybe 4 that
Mhm.
come. And that just still blows my mind because we're talking 2 major services on Sunday, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, right? And 2
Mhm.
different campuses at that. So it's, I'm trying to, but my heart and what leads me to this is more of the kids and the teens. And I've seen too many that have come out of school and made really bad decisions. And that breaks my heart because I don't want them to end up where I ended up.
Mhm. Mhm. And so you're asking about, like, basically what I'm hearing, Tammy, tell me if I'm wrong. What you're asking is, does our training equip you to have an individualized, personalized conversation with somebody that's in kind of a unique spot?
Maybe, yeah, and that and younger. So not necessarily your working professional who has a family and is married, that kind of thing. I'm looking at more, I think my heart wants me to do more for these teens into early 20s as they're kind of getting themselves established, because I feel like if they come out with more of a understanding concept, able to budget, understand money, they won't go into the things that I did with credit cards. Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
But and
You're funny.
unfortunately, every
Mhm.
single college campus, they hand out, every single person gets a credit card, whether they have the credit or not. And
Mhm. Yeah.
it's it's a burden. But
Yeah.
they don't understand that, and they see free money. They don't see the payback and the long term and the interest and how it just paralyzes you. And so I had to dig myself out, and I was very fortunate. I had a stepmother that adored me and was really intelligent, and so she got me kind of on the straight and narrow. And I made my husband, before we got married, we each worked part-time jobs to pay off all of the crazy credit card debt and car loans and stuff before we bought a house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's good. So Tammy, what you're talking about is more of a teaching thing. Um, and you could look at our curriculum that we have at Ramsey. It's called Foundations in Personal Finance. You could do that in a one-on-one setting. You could offer it in a group. I won't tell you what you should do there, but the coaching is more. It's not teaching, because here's what you'll find when you're talking about these adults. Like, people know, man, I shouldn't be spending money on this eating out. Like, I'm struggling. People have information. I mean,
poor
it's right here,
choices.
but it's other things that keep us stuck. And so what you're talking about is teaching before the bad habits start, as Arkisha said in the chat. And so if that's the approach, if that's really what's on your heart, then coaching probably isn't for you. It's probably getting to that curriculum and connecting with a church and saying, hey, how do we teach these kids not to do stupid, and start there, you know?
What we still want to do, like, and we are learning that a lot of our friends are not in the situation that we are. So we still want to do this part as far as the coaching, but I still would like to do with the kids. And like
Yeah.
Sydney said earlier, where she was saying it would be that she would do it for free. that
Mhm.
would be my free. You know what I'm saying? Like those kids need to learn from someone. And I
Got
don't
it.
have a problem. I mean, shame is not something that gets you anywhere. If you learn something, you've got to overcome it. So that's a proud moment. I failed miserably with credit cards. I have no problem telling you. And but I overcame it, you know. So and this is how I did it so that they can understand. But I don't feel like I just want to do one or the other. So I didn't know if there was a break off to this. Was there something that was more geared to that?
Yeah, yeah. So, and that is a good point. You could do both. And in fact, I do know coaches that do both. So they'll work with kids. A lot of times it's through a school or a school that their child goes to, but they're coming in as an expert, as a coach, but then doing some of that teaching too. So, what you would just want to understand if you do take our training here, is that our program doesn't give you the tools that you would need to do the teaching. You would need to look at it's called Foundations in Personal Finance. That's our curriculum, and we have everything from, gosh, do we go up through college? I don't know how far it goes up, but we've got a lot of good stuff over there. So you can look at that as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Thank you for being here, Tammy. Good question. All right. Let's go to Daniel Garcia, and let's see what Daniel's got going on.
Hello.
What's up, Daniel?
Oh my goodness. Hi.
You're good, man. Oh my goodness, what?
Well, I just didn't expect you to call on me, but man, this is really cool. I'm super excited to be here. This is something that I actually was placed on my heart maybe about 2 years ago,
Wow.
and I've been really thinking about it. And I guess at one point I even kind of shrugged it off because I didn't think it was something that I could actually do. And I'll get real personal here. Just this past Tuesday, I was working for an employer for 10 years and just got laid off. And I thought, well, you know what? Oh my God, is this a sign for me to do what I really what I really need to do? Because this was placed on my heart and long ago, but I didn't take any action. And being able to take my life's experience of growing up and learning the common way of handling money. You've got to build credit. I remember getting out of high school, my parents told me you got to get a credit card. I was the first one to go to college, so of course I got student loans. A lot of these, I guess you could even say, like, American myths about money, like you have to have credit in order to survive in America.
Sure.
I heard it just the other day, being on sitting in a chat on a live stream on Twitch. I don't know if anyone knows about that, but people broadcast and just chatting sessions, and the topic of money comes up every once in a while, and you can just see chat fill up like, yeah, I have had to get credit to be able to get an apartment, or I had to get credit to get a car, or I have to have credit in order to survive. And I just wanted to yell at the top of my lungs, like, it's not true. There is another way.
So Daniel, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This was put on your heart. You've been through some stuff and you want to use it to bless other people, right?
Yes.
But you didn't believe you could do it.
Yeah.
How'd you get there?
Well, I would say maybe I do remember expressing this desire to, a few close friends, and maybe some of them, I'm going to stop saying maybe. I'm just going to, this is what happened.
Glad
Expressed
you
what
called
I
that out.
wanted.
I was about to ask about it, but
Yeah.
you did, so good on you, man. That's called
just
awareness,
being,
ownership.
yes. Just being here, I'm learning, need to be more precise, more specific, and intentional. So I expressed my desire to some close friends. Some of them thought, yes, you can do this. And some of them thought, no, that's silly. You need credit, like everything you're talking about, you just can't do it. And I let that root down in my spirit. And then I started to doubt myself. And I let that basically kill the dream that I had. Yeah.
How does it feel to say that?
That hurts.
I felt that, so, yeah. So how can I help you today?
I think this session has really, I think the session has helped some already, and just hearing some of the others, and hearing some of the feedback. And
Mhm.
I know how you can help. It's a sense of community, because I was not in a sense of community. Instead, I was an island out trying to do it on my own. I'm very, I'm very stubborn. I'm very independent. I was just raised very independent, and I can admit that is one of my weak points. I can do teamwork. I have done it in this past job, but when it came to this, I didn't seek a community.
Yeah.
And this program, sorry, excuse me, getting a little choked up.
Daniel, what's happening for you right now?
I'm realizing that I need community. I need an uplifting voice to keep me from getting stuck in my own mind and letting doubt take over and crushing what it is that I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. You and everybody else. So
I've just been, I'll be honest, I've been through a lot the past 4 or 5 years. Divorce, I have a son, we're 50-50 custody. Things are amicable. But then I haven't, also another area of doubt, I haven't gotten back out there to try to find another partner to share life with. And I think that may also be rooted in this self-doubt that I'm stuck in. Yeah.
um you were asking your friends what their thoughts were about you coaching.
Yeah.
What were you looking for?
Validation.
There's that. Wow. I thought that was there, but I wanted to see. Man, you've got a self-awareness that is not. You don't run across that every day. Do you know that about yourself, Dan? Are you self-aware enough to know that about yourself? Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
just,
hear that?
it's
Do you
weird
guys hear that?
hearing
Is it
that.
weird when you'll talk about it?
Yeah, it's weird hearing it, but I do, I'm sorry, I was getting a phone call there. I had to, it's weird hearing it from somebody else telling me. I do acknowledge that it's something that I try to teach my son as well. You know, he's only in 2nd grade, but it's something that I strive to teach him, to try to understand his thoughts, emotions, what's going on inside, to try to overcome those things, try to find a way to handle it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Rockefeller, you heard of him, John D. Rockefeller?
Yeah.
So he was asked, so when he was at the height of his wealth was equal to 1% of the US economy. That's a lot. And a reporter asked him one time, they said, how much money is enough? You know what his answer was?
None.
just a little bit more.
Just look, wow.
And I think validation's the same way. You'll never get enough validation to be good, if that's the source of good.
Wow. It's true.
Mhm. So that's why, remember we talked about at the beginning, your why matters because it tells you what to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. The why matters so much. So I'll give you an example. Little over a decade ago, I had not paid taxes for a couple of years. Because I was foolish in my 20s. Just, yeah. So the IRS actually showed up at my house. Like they sent agents to my house after a couple of years of ignoring their letters. So when we talk about your why matters, I had tried to find somebody who could help, and I couldn't find somebody who could help. Okay. I didn't know that coaching was a thing. I didn't know I needed a coach, but I couldn't find what I needed, and I didn't know what I needed. So I'm here because I want to create an army of coaches so that nobody else ever has to go, I don't know how to find help. You see how my experience and the why connects to what I'm doing now?
Yeah.
So when I'm from California and I lived in San Diego when I moved out here, I told all my friends that I was like, hey, I'm going to go interview at Ramsey. My best buddy out there, John, he was like, that's BS. I'm not praying for that. He didn't want me to leave, but I had some naysayers, I had support. I had naysayers. Oh, freaking Dave. He should just give his stuff away for free. The guy's got enough money. It's like, what are you talking about?
I've got the same response from one of my closest friends.
The best response to that? I understand. That's it. We don't fight them on it. Like, what do you?
Yeah.
Dave doesn't need you to argue with him. So let's just say it that way. Point
Right.
is, I knew why I was doing what I was doing. So naysayers didn't matter.
It's true. That sets a lot of things straight.
What does that set straight for you?
I don't need to let the naysayers get me down. I don't need to seek that validation. This was placed on my heart. This is something I need to do.
And I'm going to say it this way, Daniel, if you're going to do it alone, don't do it.
Right.
Because you won't make it.
That's become very clear. Yeah.
Yep. So Daniel, what's your next step?
Gonna enroll.
Sweet. When are you going to do that?
I'm sorry, excuse me.
When are you going to do that?
Well, earlier while you were having the previous conversation, I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna pray about it today and sleep on it. But I'm thinking after having this conversation and really being able to sort things out and to understand
Mhm.
why I did not move forward 2 years ago, I'm gonna enroll today. I even back 2 years ago, sorry, I had started saving up so that way I could pay for this. I'm on baby step 3B. That's on pause, for the house down payment until I, find some employment somewhere. But the long-term goal, even back 2 years ago, was to do this full time. And I don't have a job right now, so I would be doing this full time. It almost seems as if I got smacked down off of this little platform that I was standing on, and I thought, I could do this thing on my own, and, put this off, let doubt get to me, get knocked down so that way I can get back up and realize, well, now I'm not doing anything else. So I can do this full time. It's not something that I have to try to fit in my schedule, because I was traveling probably 50% of the year all across the US, even overseas.
Mhm.
And the doors have just kind of been opened since this Tuesday. And that's exactly why I enrolled for today's session, because I needed to basically plug back in.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
yeah, I'm all in. Today I'm gonna send the enrollment.
Wow. Well, we're really excited to have you join us in the mission and get you in the fight. There's people out there that need help.
Thank you. Thank you so
for being
much.
here, Daniel. Thank you for being transparent, by the way. That's some crazy stuff, cool stuff, hard stuff. But that's what we do with coaching. It's not for the faint of heart. We're doing real stuff. So
Yeah.
thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I dropped that link in there for you again. Save yourself some cash. Let's debrief on that again, right? Let's think about what just happened. I talk to people and they go, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be pushy. What we just did with Daniel, that's how you sell coaching, is you're not trying to convince people to do it. They're going to want to do it or not. And if they don't, that's fine. But how can we serve them right now? That's what we're trying to do. How do we serve somebody right now so that they go, man, that was cool. You just served me. I want more of that service. How do I get it? Well, there you go. Here's how you get it. That's what we do as coaches. We're not twisting arms. We're not trying to convince people. Heck, I told one of you guys, I told Tammy, you probably shouldn't do this. Until I got more information. I was like, oh, maybe you should. But there you go. Charlene's calling me out. She's like, I'm a grant writer. You should totally call on me. All right, Charlene. What do you got?
Am I?
Are you there?
Yes. Am I unmuted?
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. So first, just wanted to give a shout out to Daniel and just to say that your humility is your superpower. Just wanted to share that. And Tammy, when she was speaking, brought up a really good point. And sitting here as a grant writer, I was like, oh my gosh, please somebody call on me. So if you have a passion to reach others, you can still do that with your certification and get paid for it. And still work with a community organization. So the one that I tossed out was the Charlotte Mecklenburg Dream Center. The Dream Center is a brand that goes across the United States. If you're in a state that has a Dream Center, there's a LA Dream Center. I forget how many other there are out there right now in this conversation. It's leaving my brain. But once you're certified and you've gone through the program and you're ready to start taking on clients, okay, you are now an SME, a subject matter expert. Because you have that certification, there are grants available to organizations that are community outreach focused, like the Dream Centers. They serve adults as well as children. So you could go there, offer your services, the grant would cover your services, you would get paid for it, and you could work with, say, a beta group of parents who are single parents. The Dream Center targets highest crime, lowest income neighborhoods. So you would be working with folks who are in very difficult situations, helping them dig out of the hole and get back on their feet. And these are trackable metrics. So as you're helping them to be successful, you're getting paid for it. The Dream Center is going to receive more funding because of the difference that you're helping them make. It's a win-win-win, right? And on top of that, you can teach the children. So if you wanted to come back and do a youth class and say, hey, let's show kids how to handle money, you could do that as well because you're already covered under their employment as a subject matter expert. And you could do that for free. That is all I had to say.
I love it, Charlene. I literally didn't know anything that you just said. Okay, so let me say that. And I didn't know, didn't know that was a thing. And so,
It's okay.
but that right there, it's a call out. Like that is why we have community right there. I was popped in our community right like a little bit ago, and I was looking at it, and one of our coaches is an enrolled agent with TurboTax, and she's putting stuff in there about the IRS and stuff. Just it's having experts around you, right, in all different things, and it makes the value of the whole thing go up. So I love it, Charlene. So what can I help you with today, Charlene?
Well, for me, I was looking at this for part-time, something that I could start practicing with, get a little better with, and then eventually was hoping to do this, on a ministry basis. So, exactly what I was just sharing, something where grants would cover what I'm doing, and I would be working for organizations that are community outreach. And so that's kind of my mindset and my focus. That's why I'm here. But, the part for me that I wasn't clear on is how do you help us get stood up in the business? I own my own marketing business, but that doesn't mean that I am, truly a business professional when it comes to standing up a financial business. So it's a very different environment. So I wasn't sure exactly how much handholding that you guys have. So those were my main questions. How do you support us? How do you get us started? Do you give us protocols for social media? Those kinds of things. Those were my questions.
Yeah, that's good. So when you say standing up a business, in your mind, what do you see as being involved with that?
So I see, coming from the marketing perspective, I see having a social media presence. I see having a website. I see business cards. I see brochures. I see something that explains who we are, what we do, and why you need us. I see it as a feature benefit presentation. What is the feature of, and what is the feature of what I'm offering and how does this benefit you? That is what I see. So for me, my questions would be, do you provide the website? Do I have to create my own? Do I order business cards from you? Do I have to create my own? Do you have social media templates? Do I have to create my own? I mean, there is I'm starting from nothing and then all of a sudden I'm here offering financial services. So what do you guys do in that transition process?
Got it. That's very helpful.
Did I stump you?
No,
Okay, good. Sorry.
no, I've heard the question. I'm intentionally slowing myself down. Jackie is a coach on our team. She works here. She went through our training 4 years ago when she was on maternity leave with her second. And the first 6 months, she worked on social media. She worked on a website. She worked on business cards. She worked on all the things you're talking about. In the first 5 months, she didn't coach anybody. It wasn't until her 6th month that she started coaching somebody. And 6 months in, she's frustrated because she's not impacting people like she wants. She's spending time doing all the things that we told her she doesn't need to do, like social media and business cards. And she was like working on her logo, and we told her don't do any of, like, you don't need any of it. Because the IRS, they consider you a business when you have a paying customer, right? Because that's when they want their cut. If you've got all these things and no customers, you're not a business. So I'm going to quote Erica, who's a coach. She's been a coach for 15 years. She's part-time on purpose up in Indianapolis. And she was doing a big call for our coaches, working with some of the newbies, and she challenged them. She said, don't build the image of a business, build a business. And what she meant by that is these things are all cool, but the way that you build a coaching business is through conversation and relationship. And that's what we teach our coaches is clients are creating conversation. You know, it's not about a presentation with features and benefits. It's you talk to somebody who's struggling, which you've done and I've done, and I say, hey, you want some help with that? They said, yeah, I would. Let's sit down and talk. Let's have a conversation. And you do what I did with these guys earlier, where you give them value, you coach them, you impact them. And then at the end, you say, hey, do you want to talk about what it would look like to move forward and keep doing this? You know, instead of promising I can help you if you pay me, let me help you and then tell you what it looks like if you want more help. How's that sit with you, Charlene?
I think that answers a portion of my question.
Sweet.
You know, the other piece I would be looking for is, you know, let's say someone does want to have a conversation. You know what, I would like to meet with you, but they do ask for, like, do you have a business card or a website? So is it something where you guys have those tools that I get them from you, or is it something where I would have to create my own? Like, how does that work?
Sure. Yeah. With the website, you get a website that's included, and it takes about 30 seconds to make it go live. It's all let's put it this way. If you can be on this Zoom call right now, then you can publish the website through our platform. It's very simple. In terms of business cards, coaches ask me all the time, should I have business cards? It's like, well, are you going to hand them out or not? Because some people buy them and then they let them sit in their attic or whatever, you know? So am I saying it's bad to have those things? Not at all. What I'm saying is new coaches will spend a ton of time on business cards, confusing activity with progress. It's like when I was in school and I had a paper to write and suddenly I cared about how dirty my mess my room was. It becomes a form of getting ready to get ready. So is it bad to have business cards? No. Should you have them? Well, do you need them? I know plenty of coaches that don't, and they're fine. Okay. If you want them, then sure. But just make sure it's not keeping you from the most important thing, which is talking to people who are hurting and meeting them where they're at. That's the disclaimer there, I guess. And in terms of like business cards, we don't provide that resource. I'm sure that in our community, our coaches have shared stuff, and you know, there's kind of that shared pool of resources, but Ramsey doesn't do anything like that. Does that answer your question?
It does. It's very helpful. Some folks have permissions associated. They have intellectual materials, and guidelines where you can and or you cannot share. Like you would not be able to use the logo. You would not be able to put Dave Ramsey's name on something. There are guidelines that you have to follow. And so that's kind of what I was trying to understand is,
Sure. Yeah.
Is it something that's okay? Is it not okay? And kind of where is the boundary in that? It didn't sound to me like you were pushing a media kit, which sounded like it potentially was not necessary. But since, it just wasn't clear, I just wanted to understand more.
Yeah. And I talk to coaches who will they go out talking about Ramsey Solutions this, and Ramsey that, and Dave Ramsey. It's like, did you get into this to promote Ramsey or to help people? And if you're out there promoting Ramsey, let's be real. Dave's divisive. So there are people that as soon as they hear Dave, they're like, nah, I'm over it. And so if you're out there talking about Dave, instead of talking about people, talking to people and finding out how you can serve them, there may be people who just won't talk to you. They don't want your help because you start talking about this guy they don't like on the radio. And so we want to make it more like, we want to meet people where they're at and help them solve their pain points. You know, and so if you want to tell people, like you tell people you have the designation, you're trained by Ramsey Solutions, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love it. But if it becomes like the focus, it's like that feels weird, you know, feels weird. Let's talk about their pain and how we can help them. That's where we want to spend our time. Sound
Yep.
good?
Makes sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, Charlene. All right, we're gonna do all right, we're gonna do one more. Let's see. Let's talk to Deborah. Excuse me, Barbara. Both I have Aunt Barb and an Aunt Deb, and I picked the wrong one. So we got like 3 minutes, but let's talk to Barbara right now. Barbara, are you there?
I am.
How can I help?
I'm moving on in the next few years and was just looking for something to supplement Social Security and also to utilize my skill sets in helping others. I am also certified as a professional church worker, and I've seen way too many people in financial straits, and that tends to hurt them.
Mhm.
So I'm looking to help.
That's awesome. I love it. How can I help you today?
Watching the seminar was great, and I've already signed up for the class.
Perfect. We're excited to have you in there, Barbara.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Thank you for being here. Can't wait to see you on a coaching call.
Thanks.
All right, take care. All right, guys, we're gonna call it right there. So let me do this one more time. Make sure you guys have what you need. This, I think Daniel had asked about like maintenance stuff on the maintenance cost. This, the price point that you're seeing right there gets you access for a full year. It gets you access for a full year, and there's no additional costs on top of this right here. Okay, it's what you see is what you get. Now, many of you guys are going to do this part. I know some of you guys have already jumped in. Barbara, you're one of them. We're excited to have you in there. Some of you guys may still have questions, and maybe it feels for you like a one-on-one setting would be a more appropriate place for you to get your answer. Maybe there's a question you have, you're not comfortable with talking to the group. That's fine. We get it. So I wanted to drop this in here. If you want to talk to somebody, talk to one of our coaches. This will connect you with either Brad, Ashton, or Dalton. Just schedule some time on their calendar. That goes to all 3 of their calendars. It'll get you to one of them. And whatever questions you have, they can help you with that. Just like we did here for many of you guys, but in a one-on-one setting. So it's a little more personalized and private. So if that's something that helps you, then jump in there and book a call with one of those guys. But they're going to reach out. Brad, Ashton, and Dalton are going to reach out to you guys after we jump off here in the next, I don't know, 24 hours or so. So look out for a call from them. Just want to make sure you have everything you need. But here's what I'll say. Some of you guys, you're on the fence like Daniel, and you're up here, and you feel like this is what I'm supposed to do, but I'm just like, I feel stuck. And what I want to ask you is, you've been here for 90 minutes. 90 minutes you've been here. And if you're waiting, my question is, how long do the people that need your help, how long do they have to wait for you to be ready? I'll tell you, there's no being like ready. It's a myth. Confidence is not a requirement to do something. It is the result of doing something. And so if you want to be confident in your ability to do this, that means you got to start. That means you got to start. And that's what we're here to do, is help you start. So follow that link, save yourself some coin, jump in when you're ready. And if you want to talk to somebody, follow that link. thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate you. Real quick, last question. Tammy said, once that year ends, what is the cost forward? If you wanted to do, to re-up on year 2, it would be $995. That is optional. But it's $995 for subsequent years if you want to continue having access to everything. So, but we'll take this 1 year at a time. So God bless you guys. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you in the training. Thanks.